And please, never slot against two men on the bar, right? There's virtually no position in backgammon where it is correct to slot against two men on the bar. I must have won 20 games this year online by people who've slotted when I've had two men on the bar. You gain a tempo by hitting the first one and then the wheels come off, right? So virtually never, never slot against two men on the bar. Right, open 6 point, 6-2 to play. I'm trying to remember the answer. So you can slot 14 to 6. You can play 20 to 12. You can play 20 to 18, 14 to 8. And again, endgame slots, the higher up the point that is open in your board, the more you want to slot. So if you've got your ace point open, you virtually never slot. 2 point, probably you very rarely slot. As you get further up the board and your opponent gets away with most of the numbers that enter, it becomes more important to slot. So we'll skip to the answer on this. So 14 to 6. So it's correct to slot here because again, you need the 6 point to win the game. And again, you're going to end up with an optimal redouble fairly shortly here because your opponent has got 7 off, right? So if you can close the point and take 1 off, you're going to have an optimal redouble, very strong. You're not going to naturally make the 6 point, right? So it's important to slot.
You need to take 1 off before having a redouble?
Yes. Yeah, he's got 7 off. So the rule of thumb is 5 less, 2 off, but he has an open ace point. So if you get to a position where you got 1 off, it's probably yeah.
Would you slot without a direct cover there?
Would I slot without a direct cover? No, I would wait.
So 6-1 you wouldn't?
6-1 I'd play 20 to 13. Yeah. Open 5 point. 13-5. Okay, now again, the 5 point, now 5-1 doesn't escape. Now you might think that's a small difference, but it's a significant difference. And if you look at Woolsey's encyclopedia of backgammon on this stuff, the fact that things like 5-1 don't escape or 4-1, 4-2 don't escape from the 4 point makes quite a big difference as to whether you need to slot or not. Here, you block the 11 with 6-2, you can play 20 to 14, 13 to 11, which gives magnificent outfield coverage, blocks the key 11 point, so there, other than double 5, there's no escaping number. And in fact, even double 5 leaves a shot because you get hit on the 15 point. So the correct play here is to go for the coverage. Let's just amend it slightly. And now I've lost 2 men off White's 4 point. Think it makes a difference? Obviously it wouldn't be in here if it didn't make a difference, right? So now the slot becomes correct because it's more urgent to make the point. You've got only a 2 point board facing you if you are hit. Yeah. So again, small differences. Think about in lots of these endgame situations and trap play situations, it's surprising how often White has to have only a 2 point board before you can start being really aggressive. Even a 3 point board can make things difficult for you. So 13 to 5. Different variation now. You're going to hit with the 6. Lifting or leaving it there. So who's lifting? Thank you. Lifting is very correct because again you're edging up on a cube, you've got a very strong position, the race is quite close, and when you get hit you quite often lose a gammon. I can speak from personal experience in this position because we could not convince the idiot captain to lift the block. Right? That's a risk too far when you've already got a strong position. So, the lower the point, the less likely or necessary the slot. Check for the other significant factors like home board points, and critically, where is the cube, right? So if you make the bold play and you missed, have you got a redouble? So, 2-1. Are you slotting? So think about what I said. So how many points has your opponent got? Has he got any other weaknesses? You've obviously given the cube away here, so you can't win with the cube.
I saw you can't pick up the dot on the 22, can you? The 2, he wants to come up and hit with the 2 as well as the cube at the dot.
Well, yeah, so slot's clear by quite a long way here. Again, you're not naturally going to make the point without a lot of effort. So you've got exactly the right conditions for slotting. Your opponent has a weakness. He's only got a 2-point board. Yeah, you play 14 to 12, I think, with the 21 to 19. All right, there's virtually no difference between 21-19 and 14 to 12. But you need the 3-point to win the game, and all the conditions are right for slotting. And finally, probably the most famous slot question in the history of the World Championship. Score is 19 to 23 in a match to 25. Joe Dweck versus Lee Jenud. 19 something, 80, 70 something.
81.
81? 81. Black has a 2-1 to play. Do you slot?
Yeah.
Right, so, who's slotting? I knew this lecture was worthwhile. We've got the majority of people to slot. Right, the slot is correct, only just. You don't have a direct cover number, but you have 8s and 9s, which is the equivalent of a direct cover number. Okay, Dweck didn't slot. Right, he then subsequently the next roll rolled a number that would have covered. Right, and then he slotted the next roll. Jenud hit 2 with a 6-5 and the match was over. So possibly the most expensive non-slot in the history of backgammon. So as we said, we'll quote with Shakespeare. Hopefully you learnt something as we've gone through the last hour. If nothing else, think about how you think. Right? You won't remember all the rules without a little bit of study, but at the end of the day, if you are now thinking a little bit more differently about how you slot, when you slot, and what the criteria are, then hopefully the last hour has been beneficial. Thank you very much.
Thank you.